Welcome in, everyone. Episode 75 of Coffee and Chel. Just myself and Padre today. All right, so today we are going to do some updates on things that happened around the community since our last episode. So first, we're going to discuss the tuner video that was dropped, an announcement dropped about the Day Zero patch. I was able to do a video with Mike Engelhart, the gameplay producer for NHL. And kind of a stunning turn of events that they actually wanted to discuss that on top of actually making changes based on the community playtest. We'll discuss the presentation deep dive that came out, if you can call it that. And we'll also, we've got some other questions. I'm curious. So Bedard's rookie camp, bro. It's already started. Did you see Twitter last night? Twitter was a buzz.
Oh, dude, I'm perfectly fine. Like I'm like over the fact that Blackhawks got him. Like that's just whatever.
I'm not. I'm upset. I'm not.
And I'm just like, I mean, yeah, I obviously don't want to see it that much, but like, I don't know. My whole fandom with the Blues has changed so much in the last like 6 years. So it's just.
Do you have another team that you find yourself paying attention to?
I don't know. Like I'll root for like my buddy's team. Like I'll root for guys that I know. So like in Buffalo,
you love Vegas.
I do love, well, yeah, Petro, right? Yeah. So like, I always cheer for Petro, and just Vegas is fun. Like,
it is.
Even if you hate, like you hated them, and then you went there, and then you're like, dude,
I really well. Here the problem is, as a Sharks fan,
I want to hate them.
The entire rivalry is gone because
that's
like
true.
Revo and Kane really carried that rivalry, and then it was like the playoff matchups, and because the Sharks have just fallen on their face after like the last 2 decades, the rivalry isn't the same anymore. But if you go to Vegas, it is the best viewing experience for hockey. It's a show. It is legitimately, it's a show. It's fantastic. No, but so last night at the time of this recording was the rookie camps are all underway, and you got to see, it was the first time that we got to see Bedard play against I guess they're not even NHLers. That's the thing. You have to it was nuts, right. But it wasn't so he scored a hat trick against the Minnesota Wild prospects, and I don't care about how many goals he scored against a rookie.
No, it was against the Blues prospects.
I thought it was against the Wild.
Maybe yeah, and that's the best part. So, guys, don't get too excited about Bedard. I actually won with those prospects one time against, I think it was Ville Husso. They gave me all the prospects, and he had all the veterans, and I beat him in a practice game. I'm just kidding, but no, seriously, he's unbelievable. Yeah, the one goal
it was against St. Louis. I don't know why I was.
The one goal that got me, Sleazy, was honestly the goal from like the corner.
Bro.
And there's a really cool. I think Nasher might have retweeted it. And
there was
Barber
an angle at far side.
Yeah, it was an angle, and it's even cooler because you hear the people in the crowd like just like gasping because it's just like the way he like put it in was just like a laser. I mean, maybe. If he gets that much room in real games, like maybe he does score 40. I don't know. I mean, that was ridiculous last night.
Like he had 2 of them where like this is something. Okay, so I got to meet Bedard. I got to meet Bedard, and I had a feeling that when there's people like this out in the world that are just masters of their craft, and they're just super serious. Like you can tell. Here's what I can take away from my time speaking with Connor Bedard. He has legitimately been just training, not even playing hockey, like training for like 15 straight years where it's all that he thinks about. And those are the people that tend to be like prodigies that end up being. But more than that, the dude's shot he had 2 goals where he does the toe drag and fires it upstairs. And that's like the thing that's been talked about the most in like hockey with him is that he has this insane release. And it's like nothing. Like I guess the closest comp would be like Matthews.
You know what he reminds me of, and I've said it in the old episodes, but he's obviously a little bit thicker. Is Caulfield, like the way he like shoots, just being like a righty. You know what I mean? Like I can't compare like lefties and right. I don't. It just doesn't like look right. But he reminds me the most of Caulfield. The way he can like curl the puck with his stick and then like drag it. I mean, it just looks like him coming off like the half wall. Like that's who it reminds me of. But obviously, like he has. Probably like I haven't seen his one-timer yet.
He didn't. Yeah, like I feel like it's not his game. He reminds me like Tarasenko, but the opposite.
Yeah, I've just seen his like toe drag release. Yeah,
like it was just it was nasty. Like I don't know who was in front. I keep wanting to say it's Kirby Doc, but it's not him. There was
his brother Colton, I think is his name.
Someone was in front. Yeah, Yes. Someone was in front when he scored that second goal that you were talking about, and he literally puts his hands on his head. Like, it was wild. I couldn't believe it.
Are you surprised that they have him playing in that thing?
No, because it's been 2 months of him. Again, the other thing I got from it is that he.
What if he just tore his ACL though?
I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it would matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he is going to be on the Blackhawks for the next 15 years.
Right.
And those kinds of freak injuries can happen whenever. I doubt he gets a ton of run, but he's going to be 18 or 9. How old is he?
Isn't he 18? I think he's 18, right?
When does he turn 19, though?
Let's check our great Google machine real quick.
Man, July 17th.
Yeah, so dude, he's super young.
Like, that's like, I think that even with a 19-year-old, that's tough. So like, as an 18-year-old, he needs to play as much games that are somewhat similar to the real thing, or like he's just gonna go in there and get thrown to the wolves, right? He's also much bigger than you'd think.
He looks thick, yeah.
Yeah, like he is like there. Like I said, he looks like someone who literally wakes up 4 a.m, trains hockey in some aspect, then goes to the gym, then goes back on the ice, and then sits there and watches film or something. Like, that's what he reminds me of. It's crazy. Even when he scored those goals, okay, you're an 18-year-old and you're finally on the ice with your team, and you score these nasty goals, and he just doesn't look happy. He just looks like that was like a job complete. Like that was, and like, so I don't know. It's
kind of reminds me of Braden Point, his size.
So let's talk about the tuner thing. So I was able to interview, or not really, I guess interview Mike Engelhart from EA NHL, and he dropped the NHL dropped a crazy patch coming, all from the feedback of the technical test. So what were some of your thoughts on the changes?
Obviously, I'm like looking at the tweet because I have it pulled up, but the main thing obviously being the pressure system. I'm glad that they I guess they're tuning that. So I mean, like, we don't know how it's going to actually play until you play it, but it seems like they have an idea of that. We were annoyed with the fact that, you could just go sit in the zone kind of and mess around with the puck and then just have it go up. I think that's huge, just because it kind of doesn't encourage like the puck ragging, I guess.
Yeah, because that did become kind of prevalent. I didn't notice it a ton because I played so aggressive defensively, but that once Hut comes and you get some unstoppable force guys, and like you just get the guys that sit there waiting for the full pressure system to activate, we definitely needed some help there with that. Mm-hmm. And passes don't do anything either. It's legitimately just shots, and hits are a big portion of it, and then a very slow portion is, I'm wondering how much it activates. Like I'm wondering how many times you actually get it to go off, because that'll be interesting to see. I definitely enjoyed that. The goalie fatigue. So something that was happening was the goalie wasn't regaining stamina if he lost it all until you brought the puck into the offensive zone, which I didn't know. So that was brutal, obviously, because you go end to end, your goalie can't regain stamina at all, and he's stuck in this fatigue state, and that's where you get the floppy saves. So that's now the second you clear the zone, he starts regaining stamina. On top of that, they don't start making desperation saves until the goalie's under 50%, which again, kind of arcadey, but at least I said this all summer long. We started getting things about NHL 24, that it's a very arcadey way to get a realistic result. Now, if that ends up being well received, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that, like, again, when I played, I didn't lose to anyone that I thought I should, or I didn't lose to anyone that I shouldn't have lost to. I don't know if that made sense. I didn't lose games where I was dominating. I won them, and I feel like a lot of people did, and I think that this system is going to help with that, where you stop losing the games where you dominate and then you just have someone throw a random cross crease kind of thing like that. So that's good.
Did you watch any of Nasher's gameplay video when he played like Oilers versus Knights? Like, he did like a gameplay thing, I guess, from like maybe when you guys were in Vancouver, he did it. I don't know. It was something from where he clipped it. And like the first minute of the game, he's just sitting there like trying to slam it in, and like Aiden Hill's like,
yeah, he's just yeah.
And I comment, I go, please fix these goals. And some guy in the comments was like, dude, don't you realize that like they're putting out a tuner? This is not a real game. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. I do a podcast with like the biggest content creator in NHL. I think we talk about this every week.
I think that these will be good changes. Here's the one thing that I'm excited about. So I think that what can happen this year in NHL 24 is if a wrap type goal pops up and
Mhm.
they don't stop it and they just say, you know what? It is what it is. Unacceptable. Right? Like we can't have that again. And I'm a little bit more confident that they will address it.
I am too.
I asked Mike at the end, and he kind of gave like a, if it's game breaking, we'll address it. But I don't know if they considered the rap game breaking. So like,
Well, when I sent you that I hit, they don't think that is. You think is that what you're saying?
yeah, yours would be like any like the Geimer one. For anyone that doesn't know that, Geimer had a goal that was popped up for like 2 weeks. I think this was Ben Ross still. It was NHL 22. Where like if you were behind the net and you took a backhand on the trapezoid line, like just a backhand, no aim, it would go off the goalie. It was far worse than the rap, and it was patched within like a week or two. Now we know that their philosophy is like they want to make sure that if they're pulling developers off of the new game, that it's for something that is game breaking, like a like I would an example would be like the squad battle screen going all black. Like, that's a glitch. Like, that is legitimately something that is not intended to happen at all. And they deem that, like, that needs to be addressed. So we'll wait and see if that's the case. It needs to be. The real issue with Hockey Ultimate Team is that, like, it's progression. So, like, something that works at the end might not work at the beginning and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see on that. What was I going to say? The tuners. So the full pressure meter, the goalie fatigue system, all of that. The reason why I'm excited about that is because that's very easy. That's a slider. That is an adjustment of a tuner, as opposed to, okay, this goaltender is going into this animation. We have to go in and find out when the puck is coming in at X angle. How do we get the goaltender to stop this but not open up elsewhere? Like, that's much more time intensive. If we find that it's very hard to activate full pressure, or sorry, very, very easy still, they can simply go in and address it even further, right? So, like, that's an easy fix, and I think we'll see lots of that, and that's a positive just from the system that they've implemented. And he talked about this, like, they work on, like, 3-year cycles, and this is really the first year. NHL 23 was not. Like, that was them just, they had to release a game, and, that was it. So, we'll see how it evolves. I know that you're not a big fan of a lot of it because it doesn't look like and play like real hockey, and I totally understand. There's a lot of people that think that. That's a whole other thing that we got to talk about, because we're getting to this like point in the game where, man, like the sim based or people that want realism and the people that want arcade, like it's a whole other thing. But the like the patches, we'll see how that works, and the gameplay I'm pretty excited for. They brought back hybrid controls. We already talked about that, but they didn't.
Part of it.
Go ahead.
Part of it too is back in the day when we were kids and teenagers, there was always 2 options of NHL games, or even 3. I mean, if you think about it, because they had NHL hits,
And
that
then
was for like the
64
casuals,
had, like,
and like you had your arcade for casuals, right? Like NHL hits, and then you had 2K and NHL, which at the time, a lot of people believe it helped push.
Did you when you grew up? Did you view getting to? I can remember this like vividly. Like I've had every single hockey game. Like my old man would buy me every single NHL video game since NHL 97. And I remember like 2K is like the cheap knockoff didn't want. Like,
yeah, I 100% agree. I always used to make fun of it because the players looked blocky. I will say, like, the detail that they would have that would like surprise you was like weird. Like
presentation stuff was crazy in 2K,
and it didn't like, but it never like looked good, right? It was but it was the thought. So like they had like tape jobs before NHL ever did. They had different types of
Zamboni
sticks,
shit, like
there's so many. It sounds so dumb. If you put Zamboni mode in like some sort of hut challenge or something, like people would get a kick out of it. I mean, I know it sounds dumb, but like that, I remember sitting in that mode to get that dumb achievement on Xbox. Remember achievements?
Oh yeah.
And it was just like you just sit there and you had to like hurry up and do it. It was so touchy too.
I remember I had 2 years of 2K. One was the Joe Thornton year when he was on the cover, and I don't know if that was simply because my mom bought me the game instead of my dad, or what, or maybe it was because Joe Thornton was on the cover and that was the year I bought it. And I remember like the walkouts and everything, but I remember just it looking dark and like dungy. The lighting in that game was awful. It was terrible.
Wasn't Randy Hahn the broadcaster?
And I think that was another reason why I liked it into 07. Like that was the That was the year that I really remember, because I remember
like,
06 in EA's NHL 06 was incredible. It's my favorite game, I think. And
but
then,
at least like back in the day, they gave you like 2 options.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which it's not EA's fault. I just mean like it's so like the arcade people that are like super want to be arcadey could just go over there and play if they really want. Like, 'cause some people just love to like I make jokes like when I play like club with Robert Thomas and like Max Jones, and all they want to do the whole game is just hit and fight. And I'm just like, okay, guys, like this is gonna take like an hour. Let's just play. You know what I mean? So it's just different mindsets. You know, like I like to play to like win, and like I like playing hockey. But I mean, there's people out there. There's a lot of people, like you said, that are. I think if you can just find like a common ground and not overdo it, it would be best. You know what I'm saying?
I think another thing that people forget about too is that in the era of like the 2000s, you didn't play online. So every year when they put stuff in, it was all in franchise mode. So all those little tiny details, which seem like minute at now, are like you never have to worry about the online play, right? So here's what I wanted to bring up. So we had the presentation deep dive, okay, and I've had this thought over the summer, and again, I always say in my videos, and maybe I'm just because I'm getting old, but man, I am over the gimmicky like replays and the flashy like stuff. Like I said this in my presentation deep dive breakdown, that it feels like they're trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to getting younger players to like be like have all these like NBA and the NFL swag sports, like where the players are bigger than the sport. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have like Chase or like anyone in the NBA, right? Like they just like you have these crazy moments and that's what gets hyped up. In hockey, I feel like people want more traditional. Like they want like what looks like in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Like they want like the NBC broadcast, right? As opposed to what they're trying to do where it's like, you know, they bring on different commentators and things like that, but the scoreboard's at the bottom, so it doesn't look like a real TV broadcast. The replays aren't just like what you would see on NBC or not even NBC, like TNT or Sportsnet, things like that. Like, I feel like the demographic for the NHL video game is older than almost every other sport, and it's also smaller. I would love to see the numbers on it, but even the kids growing up that you would think where the flashy stuff might like work for them, like I just feel like they're not resonating like with it. You know, like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just like me because of my own personal thoughts on it. But I don't see any. I got a ton of feedback where it was like, yeah, man, we miss the old like traditional like broadcasts and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my thing is, if I didn't like love hockey, I don't know if I'd play the game. You know, I don't know who. I guess who, like in terms of like kids they're trying to bring in. I don't. At the end of the day, if the sport's good and the sport's booming, that's gonna bring people in ultimately. It's you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot more to do with like what's going on in like real hockey than it is, you know, than what you're putting in the game. Because like everyone always says like, oh, if the gameplay was better, it would just grow.
Gameplay's subjective, man. I'm over. Like I'm over arguing because like you'll get people. Yeah. I won't give my comments on gameplay being like I love this. This needs to be like that. I won't do that because man, there's so many people. Dude, when they put in the sim-based rivals mode, and like half the people loved it, and then you got 50 Reddit threads about awful, you know. Like just
Well, like look at this year in Chicago. I'd love to see if they could like do like sales in like in an area, right? Let's see how many Blackhawk fans buy this.
Oh yeah,
they're all excited again about
just
hockey.
For
you know what I'm saying?
Mode, man.
Well, and it's just like they're excited again about hockey, and then like they're like, I want to go buy a hockey video game. I watched Connor Bedard score 3 goals. Like just goofy stuff like that. But it really is like what you see in real life, and that it makes people like I feel like want to go buy the game or want to go play the game or test the game, like whatever the case is. But I don't know, like yeah, like the big selly. We always talk about like just like more like control of things, right? Like being able to do more things like in the game, like and we were like making the joke about the total control thing, and it feels like you almost have like less control.
Yeah.
But it's almost like that with like the cellies. Like the cellies was like, are you kind of like locked to like maybe like 7 to 8 cellies, like jumping in the glass, scooping the ice, like whatever, you know, sliding on your stomach. But it was like people like that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I know people like to like puck chop too, but you know what I'm saying? Like people like to be able to do their own thing, and I understand you can still like do it, but now you're just like, all right, hit a button, all right, wait, oh, there's my cell. You know, it's like
I
I
think
don't. It's
that,
just
dude. I bet you by like the end of the year, because you're gonna be forced to watch that stupid like replay. Not stupid in the sense, but like when you get scored on, and it is whatever, someone just sellies and does it, whatever's not a big focus. This like cinematic goes on, dude. Imagine you getting rocked like 9-1, and
yeah,
you gotta watch this guy go down the tunnel or whatever, and
right.
like I think people are just gonna be like, oh my god, let's get back into it. I don't know. I see. Like, here's the thing about another example about like the broadcast system and things like that. I miss when you load into a game and it showed the actual intros. I saw again
Yeah,
they were hyping up like realistic on ice projections and everything. That's great, dude. Why can't the Sharks skate out of the shark head? Are we just
right.
ignoring like one of the most iconic entrances in sports? Like, I don't understand that. And then on top of that, like everyone has glow sticks. I'm pretty sure only two teams have ever used glow sticks: the Knights and the Capitals.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't. Yeah, I don't remember like when they did
I
the
had to
glow stick
Google
thing.
it because like I had never seen it. It's only in the playoffs.
The first team I ever saw do like thunder sticks was like the Lightning. I remember that like
Yep.
the actual like noise. You know what I
I thought
mean?
they got wristbands, or maybe that was just San Jose.
They did. I mean, everyone's done like something of some. Yeah, but like just making everything. By the way, what do you feel about like when you're? I understand like it's hockey ultimate team, and maybe you put like the logos like on the boards or something else, or just like, or if you have like a different score clock in the upper left hand corner. Which before EA went to NBC, they did have their own score clock in the upper left hand
Yep.
corner, and it said EA logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel like in hockey ultimate team, where like if you're a Sharks fan and you play in the tank, it's the actual like arena with the Sharks logo at center ice, like instead of the hockey ultimate team logo, it's like because then like you said, if you get the shark head thing, it only really works in versus or franchise mode or play now or what, you know what I mean? Like you're not getting it in HUT, even
Yeah,
though
the
you're playing in
logo
the
should be
tank.
at center ice, and I
Yeah,
think
but I'm
yeah,
saying like when you're coming out of the shark head, it really only happens in those modes. It's not even happening in HUT. Like
yeah.
that's what I mean. Like I feel like it kind of takes away from it all being the
I
same, I
think
guess.
there was a big focus and a big push on HUT in NHL 22 to almost basically slow down, like speed up as many replays that you could possibly could. Like, so they took away the replay system, so you only see a very quick snapshot, things like that. You basically, when you load in, Sobolski says something, you see the outside shot of the arena, like from the 300 level, and then you're basically playing. And I think it was because people wanted to get into the game fast. But man, I miss when they showed your goalie's record, bro. Like that, like like those things. Like I love that. You can skip it.
Or when you had NBC and like I know it's NBC,
Yep.
but even when they go like outside, I remember like when you
Oh
play like, in
yeah.
Arizona, you in Arizona it'd be like a thing like flying through like the desert or
Yep.
something. It was just it's kind of crazy because those games were like people thought those games were so bad in 15, but like just stuff like that was
Well,
actually
I
like
think
pretty good.
I think again from well, let's like forget about the comp hut players because there's
Hmm.
such a small
Right.
section of a small community. The amount of people that grind franchise mode or play this game at a non-competitive level that would appreciate it looking like a real hockey game, I think it far outweighs the that small section of the community. Like I said, yeah, like the intros, the showing the goalie stats, those kinds of things. Like I
Hmm.
just miss that. And again, I don't know if it's just because it's nostalgia, and maybe I would hate it if they brought it back. But I don't know. Like they keep trying to reinvent the wheel. And they do a good job, like the replay system right now, where they this year where they do like the tunnel, it's blacked out, and like you do a celly, and everyone comes in. It looks good, and it's cool, but it just isn't hockey. It's not how it works in real life. And I feel like they're just trying to reinvent the wheel so much when I think a lot of the player base would just appreciate it, be like, hey, let's just make this look like what happens on
Well,
Sportsnet.
well, even like ESHL, like you go back and you look at when in '09 even. And they have like your guy like sitting there in the tunnel waiting, and then
Oh
they
yeah, yeah,
run
yeah,
they run out on the ice, they follow them
yeah.
around,
Yep.
and then the game just starts. But it's still like it's cool to see your character there if you're like an ESHL. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, it's like something so simple and so easy
Yeah.
that I think people would enjoy instead of
Like I
trying to
said,
reinvent the wheel, like
I
you
think
said.
I think they're just trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to find new flashy things when going back. And this is what dude, this is a more common thread in the NHL community. Like if you think this is what led me to the hypothesis that this demographic that plays this game is so old or so skews so much older, and even the younger players that play this game, right? Like I feel like it's not so much that they're young, so their attention span is different and everything like that. They still watch hockey for the most part, right? So it's not like they want hockey to look like Fortnite or anything like that, right? I think that what we're seeing is how many times in the NHL franchise that they introduce something, it's fine, they don't improve it or work upon it, they take it out, and then after 4 years they bring it back. And if that keeps happening, what that says to me is that you've nailed it, but you're just not improving upon it, and instead you try to bring up something new, right? And maybe that isn't the right way to go, or maybe that is the right way to go, but I don't know. But like even the full replay system in franchise mode, that was marketed in the deep dive as like something huge. And to be honest, of everything that was in the deep dive, the last sentence where it's like in franchise mode, you can now watch full replays is like a marketed thing is wild. Because it, like, again, people just want some realism when it comes to hockey. This isn't football. It's not basketball. Hockey is like I feel like it's a sport you just don't mess with. Like, no. That's what it is, right? And maybe that's a bad take and you want to see improvements in the game and everything like that. But when you think about all other sports, the one that's changed the least since, I mean, the first lockout, or the 05 when things drastically changed, there really hasn't been any changes. Like, you just don't mess with it, right? Like, it's just, right. Someone in chat, BBL says hockey is a heritage. Exactly. It's a very traditional sport. And when you have a video game, you're trying to, again, you skew it towards the younger audience because that's who play video games. But, again, I don't think I'm this, gigantic creator. But if I'm at the top of the directory playing Hockey Ultimate Team, I am not a comp player. I'm not even close to it anymore. And my audience, everyone in my chat is pushing 30. You know what I mean? Like, that has to, like, you know what I mean? That's what leads me to believe that, like, the community just skews a bit older. And, maybe there's something to that. I don't know. Like, I just, the NBC one, the broadcast, like, kills me. And at the time, Doc is what my favorite broadcaster of all time outside of probably Randy Hahn. And it was getting a little old when you hear the same thing over and over again. But when was the last time you even turned on?
I don't. Yeah, if I could find a way to make my stream where I could like have like a little bit of noise, I could hear it in my ear, but also listen to a little bit of music, so I know what's being played on my stream, because God knows what sometimes people request for songs. Because I do that on mine. I know yours is too big to do that because people request the dumbest things in the world.
But like, even when I did GM Connected, right? Like when I made that GM Connected, I remember playing the first game, and I couldn't even talk about the replay because the replays weren't even in the game. It was the online stream. I was like, what is this? And I remember DMing Toogie and Tactics, like, dude, where are the replays? He's like, yeah, man, those don't exist. I was like, what in the world?
Dude, you know what's funny? Something, and what made me fall, like, even in more love with MLB is, and they don't mess with their presentation much, right? But they got, like, new broadcasters, stuff like that, different things like that. But the detail of like every guy's like batting gloves, elbow guards, shin guards, batting stances. Dude, even I know EA can't do like every skating stride or every way they all shoot, but dude, just the gear and the way they look. It's funny. I remember I sent a member of the EA staff back in the day, I won't name names, a list of St. Louis Blues guys, because I said, hey, just curious like who I could pass this on. He's like, okay, great. And it was like a decent, he's like, holy cow, like that's like a lot. And I'm like, yeah, but I gave him like all the correct like skates and and I'm like, I don't know. I've always been weird like that when I played hockey growing up, because I guess it's being a goalie and you constantly see the same person shooting on you. You can like remember like what they're doing, like shooting with.
Oh, don't get it twisted. You're kind of nuts.
Oh, I'm nuts.
Shit. You are nuts, dude, bro. You can tell stick jobs of players that are on like the Senators. It's
I agree, but there's a lot of nerds out there. Like there's like literally like Twitter pages, Instagram pages like dedicated to like gear. Hockey's like a big gear sport too. So it's just like football. Everyone in football looks the same kind of. Besides like the helmet,
you can't see like Riddell and whatever. Yeah. No, like in hockey for sure. There's like a. Like
look at Bedard. He went to Sherwood. That's like a huge deal, right? Yeah. So everyone's like, "Oh my God, Bedard's in Sherwood. He wore Bauer growing up and all."
The yellow Bauer, right? The yellow Bauer stick that St. Louis used. Yeah. No, that's back. I mean. It's like a huge deal.
Stuff like that, and like I know there's like some things to like rights, but dude, like the thing that's cool about like MLB, like they'll do like even in stadiums, right? Like the way the stadiums look, like. There's a Budweiser sign in Busch Stadium. Well, they'll put like the show or something or MLB to the show in the same font that makes it look like that because they don't have the rights to Budweiser. But my point is I just feel like just little details like that, like people really enjoy that stuff. And if you just put like a little more time into that, and then like maybe like you said, trying not to reinvent the wheel, I think that might be something that people would enjoy more. Maybe. I don't know.
This is the part of the industry that's so tough. So again, as I get older and I get to meet more and more people from the EA team or just in the industry as a whole, like I'm trying to, so like let's play that out. Let's say next year they want to bring everything back and make it look like a, I don't want to say a dumbed down version, but very very mimicked version of an NHL broadcast, which is what they had for like 20 years. Let's not get it twisted. How do you market that? That's the issue. So like if imagine you're on the board, you're way up there, and you know you're Mike and Chris and whoever, and they have to go and be like, all right, sell me the game. What are we looking at? And they say, okay, we want to remove everything that's flashy that's in the game right now, and we want to go back to the old broadcast style because people liked it 10 years ago. Like anyone that writes a check is gonna be like, no, that's you know what I'm saying? And maybe there's a disconnect there, right? But like that, like for a perfect example, I mean, the last 2 years, the biggest marketed things was the Zegras flip pass and the Michigan. And 10 people in the world could do it. But the reason that it's like there is because that's a clip. That's a huge highlighted moment, you know, like that, you know. I mean, for Christ's sake, Carpig made a whole content career out of it so far because he's so good at it, right? And like that's like those are the things that where I would love just like from a fan of hockey to just, dude, be a pro. I want to play in the CHL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I miss the old things, and I don't know how you would go to the people writing checks and be like, let's go back. But it's kind of
Right.
what they do every year because they throw something in there that wasn't in the game for the last 3 years, and now it is, and now it's like, before I forget, the other thing, my biggest pet peeve, in this industry, and in this community. Again, if you have a thought on gameplay, I will never argue you because I don't think one person's opinion is more important than another when it comes to gameplay. Hockey is so subjective; you will never find a vast majority of people to agree on it. But when you when they bring something back that everyone asked for. Let's say when GM Connected comes back, okay? They put back GM Connected in next year. There will be people that go, wow, EA sucks. They bring back an old mode. It took them forever. And you're still mad. Like, that's being mad to be mad, right? Like, you could be frustrated that it wasn't in the game for a while, but when they actually bring something back that you want, you can't be upset about it, you know? And, like, I see that quite a bit, like, the replays coming back in, and it's like they should have never been out in the first place. Yeah, but don't be angry about it because the game you're about to play now has them all, right?
Right.
So like that's like, but it keeps happening. It keeps happening. Like there's very little. There's like I just feel like the game just skews for older people. I really truly believe that, and even the younger people that play the game now, they grew up watching, like a normal hockey broadcast. So, you know, Burt Crown says, if they bring back GM Connected and it's not massively used, shame on all. Here's the problem. I can tell you the exact issue with GM Connected right now. If they bring it back, it has to be a massive. It reminds me of NHL 23 and crossplay. Crossplay is necessary in NHL. I think we can all agree on that. Could you imagine if it wasn't? You can barely find a game already. Imagine you just couldn't at all, right? Like I still stand by the fact that crossplay will be the biggest feature ever added to online NHL. We just have to see it improved a little bit better. But I think that GM Connected, like if they bring it back in, that's going to take all the resources for a year. And the issue is that like a vast majority of people won't use it. Like I've said this a number of times. Dude, I have 4 buddies. And they all have kids, and they're married, and they work. Like, when are you playing multiple games? And there's groups out there that would be dedicated. I mean, hell, I just did GM Connected Sim League mode, right? But I just simmed it. Like, it was like, it's on me. Like, okay, at this time, this day, I'm going to sim it, right? It would be huge for a lot of people. I think for creators, it would be massive. I think for esports, it'd be massive if you could get GM Connected. I honestly do. I think you could run, like, a really big money league with it. The danger in running GM Connected, and it's not enough of the player base to use it, then you've just wasted an entire year of the dev cycle, right? Like that's what'll happen.
Why do you this is a different question that's like EA, but why do you think with crossplay, like now it's the cat's out of the bag and I'm putting it back in, but it's like, why did these companies like Sony and Microsoft, why were they cool with crossplay? Like I get it with Fortnite because and it's a humongous game and like
from a console
because
standpoint?
because it's like for years, like I remember when I always wanted to play MLB, right? Because we didn't have anything on Xbox for the longest time. And I remember like my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she like bought me a PlayStation for like one of my birthdays. Like it was like NHL like 13, and that's when I still play like money games. I was like, oh cool, I'll get money games on here, and I'll get money games on there, and I can play MLB now. And I have like 2 consoles, right? And I still have 2 consoles, but I remember thinking it was like crazy to have like 2 consoles. But it's like now, it's getting to the point where it's like these companies. It's like there's no one's gonna go, oh, I'm gonna only buy this because it's only made on here. I mean, I know there's still exclusive titles, but it's like, why were they cool with that? You think like Sony and Microsoft, where they're like, all right, like every game's inevitably gonna be crossplay eventually. You know what I mean?
I think because during the console war, like every single thing was used in its arsenal for it. So like what I mean by that is like now if a game is made, right, and crossplay is in it, the only thing that benefits is that you match up and there's a better gaming experience. It really doesn't impact the other console, right? So like if you're Sony and you say, okay, I've got MLB, right? We've got it. Well, MLB is a crazy one because that was a console exclusive. So let's say Call of Duty, right? And you can vastly improve Call of Duty's experience in game by allowing you to match up with players of the other console. That's only a net positive, right? Now your console has to be better and it has to perform better. But right now, man, like we're at a point now where there's very little like when I grew up in 2000. I was a nerd. I loved RPGs, all of that, and it really mattered. Like I remember when I got my first job, I was in grade 8 and I bought GameCube, Xbox One, and PlayStation 2 with all my money throughout the summer because I wanted to play Halo. I wanted to play Super Smash Brothers. Like those are like, you know what I mean? Like so the console exclusive games though, there's very few. So Starfield, which I'm still playing, is an Xbox one. That's probably the last massive one that just came out. And I feel like now it's more based on the console's performance than anything else. I think Xbox One got slammed in its generation because it was an awful console compared to PS4.
Yeah.
But I think Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are both terrible. Like, I don't know, and I don't know if that's because most of the video game companies simply are making old gen games still. Like, we've had very few games where they've just forgotten about old gen. Mm-hmm. And people, man, we've said this a number of times on here, like specifically when it comes to NHL. I get that it's expensive. Video games are expensive. But there has never been a time in which we've just carried an older generation. You've had 4 years. 4 years. You could have not bought an NHL and bought a new console. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, right now, I mean, Christ, the NHL 23s or 24s, like X Factor edition is like $130 in Canada. Like, that's like half the price of a Series S. You know, like, but the real issue is that it hamstrings the developers from being able to make like a full game. Like, and it like that's the issue, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, but like that's why they allow it, like crossplay. It doesn't impact. I don't think it impacts their sales, right? So why didn't EA and NHL give us a roadmap this year? What do you mean, man? Like when they're gonna release things? Oh, you mean like the deep dives? Probably. How do I answer this? Probably because they wanted to play it safe because they took a chance on allowing creators to do them, like Tactics and Nasher. Like, so like it wasn't them that made the deep dives so far, if that's what you're talking about. And we still haven't got the Hut one. So we'll wait and see. I'm assuming that'll
is Halo, is that still Xbox only?
Yeah, I know Xbox exclusive, yep.
Have they made a Halo game in a long time? Like
Infinite was fantastic, and it brought back every single person like me that grinded Halo 3 because it mimicked it almost identical. The problem was
Gears of War. Remember that one?
Yeah, that was a great one. No, see, like that's what you're naming off why Xbox 360 dominated. PlayStation.
Xbox 360. And this is I didn't even play like those games that much. Like I did like dabble with them because everybody did it like in my high school. But dude, the 360, like besides the Red Ring of Death thing, like that console was like the greatest console
it
ever.
decimated
Like,
PS3, and then it flipped again in PS4 and Xbox One. But yeah, like that was a big reason because back then console exclusive games was pretty big. You know, it was pretty big. So, but yeah, like I think we're gonna see crossplay for every game. And NHL especially, I think that it was super necessary, and the fact that we're getting a shared market, I'm curious on how the shared market's going to go because on one hand there should be double the cards in the market, but it also means that there's double the players trying to buy cards. So does it just net negative, like it just take each other out? Fitty, they did.
I don't know. I was wondering that too. Like I think it can only help. I mean, like MLB,
it should only help.
Yeah, MLB. It's so, and I think we'll see a lot more people playing new gen this year, in general.
I think that this is the year where things start to move over to next year, as it should, man. We're like 2 years away from the next.
I think this will be the. I would think this will be the last year EA makes an old gen game too, just because MLB did the same.
I think because MLB did it, like
yeah.
NHL still relies a lot on its game sales. Hut does a lot of income. Don't get me wrong, and FIFA, like their FUT sales crush the actual games. Like it's not even they could literally give the game away for free probably and still see a massive profit. Like literally FIFA carries the EA banner. Like it's like 70%. Like it's unbelievably massive. Like I feel like a lot of people can't comprehend how big FIFA's income is for EA. So like, I would hope. Honestly, I get that people maybe it's a cost thing where you can't afford a new gen console, but then video games, like that's the video game industry. Your hobby, you're into an expensive hobby that you just have to accept. Like that's it. That's the reality situation. Like video games is a hobby. If you can't afford video games, and like Netflix is $20 a month. Like use that as your escape, or play offline games. Like it just. You're crushing the game. You're crushing the game by not allowing these developers to actually.
Dude, you can get Series S somewhere, which it sounds awful to say. We both could have just sat on PS4 the last 4 or 5 or last however many years, 3-4 years, and it been the same exact experience. You know what I mean? It looks the same.
I don't think it I don't.
The
think
menus.
It looks that
the
different.
Menus are the only thing that you could say. I need a new console. It'll make it so much quicker. It's life change. It really is it is way quicker menus. But other than that, I mean, you could have bought a Series S and been perfectly fine from day one and had the same experience as your Xbox X and PS5 buddies. Because I had a Series S and it was great. And the size of the console is phenomenal. You can put that thing in a book bag.
I can't, dude. I remember last year I went to Vegas for CJ's birthday with John Wayne.
Yeah.
And it was I knew I had a feeling the fantasy hockey event was coming. So I had to bring my PS5.
Oh, God.
Dude, it just wouldn't fit like in a normal bag. EA sent me like an NHL 23 like duffel bag. And it's like leather. It's like a really nice travel bag. So I was like, okay, perfect. And it literally filled up the entire bottom to the point where it's like sticking out over the side. Like I was just like, this is obnoxious.
That console, and
it's so dumb.
I remember thinking like, oh, they'll come out with this. Like, dude, I don't think they're ever going to come out with like a smaller version of this by the time like new consoles come out because they're probably already working on PS6 or something. So
PS6 will probably come out very shortly. Yeah, like in the next couple of years. Like that's the thing where like, and then people like the other thing a lot of people bring up is that they want NHL on PC. Dude, could you imagine the cheating that would go on PC, dude?
It'd be a mess.
And not only that, they can barely make it for 2 consoles. Nevertheless, added a third, right? Like. It's a pipe dream, in my opinion. If you go look at Madden and 2K's sales on PC, it's awful. Like they're terrible. So like that's just.
So what console do I get rid of here in the next few weeks if I want to pick one? Which one do you think? I got the X and I got the PS5.
It's funny because I
only play NHL and MLB. Preference and I'll play Warzone if they ever fix it to be. I don't know. Like it's not the same, but yeah, that's the two.
I have mained a Sony console my entire life, but I've had every Xbox One. But I honestly, like PS5 has been so dog shit for me. The controller issue. I am on my 15th.
Where's your controller break? Mine's like my left stick from just hustling.
Stick drift.
Yeah, no, I get that too. But you know what? This thing feels so flimsy in your hands. The Xbox One does. Like it feels like it the sticks feel flimsier. Like in the weight of it too.
I like,
It
yeah,
just
like I don't mind the way it's starting to grow on me, but
no, I'm saying like because I like the weight of the PS5. It feels heavier than the Xbox, where the
really?
Xbox feels flimsier,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
The
I don't know if it's
here,
'cause-
yo, you want to know what something I'm gonna dabble in? I'll give you a little preview. I just bought a PS5 Elite controller, and
Oh yeah.
I am really excited. First of all, because you can replace the sticks. Because I'm fucking over buying
How
it.
does that work?
So like you can get replacement like sticks for it. They can just come out.
That's pretty sweet. It's kind of like a scuff then, right?
Yeah, it's basically Sony's version of a scuff. Like the micro, I have the Elite controller for Xbox, and it's sick. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, see, Terry O thinks the PS5 controller is the best ever. I just think I think it all is how you yourself pushes on things and how hard you put. You know what I mean? Like maybe you hammer it harder, or I hammer, my right stick. Like I think
I always find that I hit a trigger on the Xbox. Like the way I hold it, I would end up ever so slightly gripping the RB controller from the way I hold it.
yeah.
And that's what's always annoyed me. So I'll be playing, and they're like, "Oh, random saucer pass." I'm like, "Fuck!" Like like it's. But so anyways, I bought an Elite controller. Here's the reason why. I think if you can map your controls, the new total control scheme is going to be nasty. If you
I
can
think so
map. So
too.
here is what my thought process is. Okay, for the new total controls. The Michigan is going to be pretty broken. I think we can all agree that it is going to be a move that takes over. My fear is that it dominates the game. And early in the technical test, that's all anyone did, which makes sense because no one could ever do the Michigan, and now you can, right?
Mhm.
And so that's whenever you played a game, that's all anyone tried to do. I didn't have it scored on me. I scored a bunch when I played, but I think that people will start to pick up on it. But what we talked about with the total control system is that you almost have less control because the second that you go to press any of these buttons, you're taking your thumb off of the right stick. And anytime that you do that, you're technically you're not in control. You're not staying in control with it, right? So what I was thinking was having Y mapped to the paddle under here. So you can skate around, protect the puck, and then hit Y when you're coming in with speed at a nice angle. And then the other one being R3. Like I want to move R3 off of R3 because when I played, I would click in, and I don't know if you guys realized it during the community play test, but I would do like the backhand toe drag, like that was like my move last year, and I didn't realize how hard I was using the controllers, and it would click in the right stick, so then my guy would do a shove, he would do a reverse hit in the middle of the deke. I don't know if you experienced that at all. Did you?
I did too. I kept accidentally taking like slap shots or winding up,
Yeah.
and it was super annoying. Do you think this controller that you're talking about? I've like heard about it, but I haven't like seen it. Do you think that's gonna like not put Scuff out of business? But if they if they really get it right, you think it would like give Scuff some trouble?
I mean,
Some,
even over the last like 5 years, Scuff is just not as like. Do you remember like early on? Like I don't know if you remember this, but like I played like in the MLG circuit for Halo when I was in my first year of college, and like Astros were like the fucking thing. So like if you weren't using Astro headphones with a mix amp and everything, you were like a loser. Like you were a poor is basically what it was. Fucking awful because they were so expensive.
right.
And then in like the 2013 to 2017 range, like when FPS really took off, like Scuff was like massive. And if you didn't have a Scuff controller, you're like not an elite player, right? I think that the elite controller is kind of removed. Like I haven't really heard about Scuff in years. Like it's not as popular, nearly as popular, because I think if anytime that you can get the brand that makes the console instead of a third party brand, even if it's a fantastic brand, like Scuff is a third party brand. Anytime that you can get the actual official controller or company to make it, I think that it's always gonna have success over a third party brand. So we'll see, but yeah. So I got an Elite controller. I'm gonna map R3 to this so that if I need a reverse hit, I can just click it in, and hopefully I don't know if anyone in chat can tell me, but I think if you map R3 to the paddle, it takes away R3 when you press it, right? So that way I don't have to worry about clicking it in. And then if that's the case, you've removed every single negative about the total control scheme.
Dude, I would pay good money for a wired controller. Like I used to love getting my 360 wired controllers because like I always played close to my console anyways, and not having it like come undone like how
I
it does.
can't play it. I still don't know what it is. In NHL 24, even the technical test on PlayStation 5, I have no idea why. If you are not plugged in after about 15 minutes, you have massive input delay. And for anyone that doesn't notice it, go and sit in the menus in NHL 23 on PS5, play on wireless, wait about 5 to 10 minutes, and then watch when you go and select the menu. There's a delay. And it was mind-numbing when you were playing because, like, early on in the year, I couldn't figure out why my guys wouldn't pass and things like that. I had to play directly connected. And
do they not have that controller, by the way, for Xbox too?
Yeah, they have the Xbox has been doing it for years. It's called the Xbox
Elite, right?
Yeah, the Xbox Elite, and it's a really good controller. I don't know where it is. I had it.
I say, didn't you have one? That's what I was gonna ask you.
I do. And I love it. I just never play Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh wait, here it is.
Dude, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this PS5 controller. It's $200, right? And it says it has like a little case with it and everything.
Oh
too.
yeah. The Sony one is it?
Things like all fancy.
$200 for a fucking dude. Look at the controller graveyard. This is from fucking the back half of the year, bro. These don't work. I'm on my 15th controller since launch. This console, and they got sued.
That PS5 in your background is as big as like your like little end table behind you.
It's ridiculous, bro. It's I can't stand the PS5, and I'm really not a fan because of how bad Xbox One was. I really don't even want to give Series X a chance. But whenever I've had to go on and use my Xbox quite a bit the last month because of Starfield and things. No, and it's actually been pretty good. So, but yeah, like it'll still give you the option to push R3 still after remapping it, but you might be able to work around it though. Okay, because if it still leaves it there, that would suck. I would love the ability to remove R3 because I think that for a lot of players, people that grip the controller way too hard, like myself, I'm sure there's people out there that have the same. I mean, you same thing. When you go to like do any deke on the right stick, if you're using total control, it would do the shove, it would do the reverse hit, and it just kind of sucks. So I'm hoping that when I get that, I can map it out. I'll give everyone kind of a review, and we'll see how she goes. But that's the hope. See if we can find a good console. Anything else you want to talk about going?
Not really. I mean, yeah, we're coming up here. I mean, it's not too far away. We're in the home stretch.
So I guess we can talk about
along 2 months.
Coffee and Chel coming up this year. We're definitely going to do a weekend episode that'll go over the new event, and we're going to try and bring on another hut creator. We obviously miss Kesso, but Kesso has retired. We reached out. He is done. And maybe if NHL 24 is a banger, he gets the itch. I think he'll be around at launch. I think he'll play a lot, and you'll see him on Twitter. But there'll be a weekend episode where we'll record our thoughts on the newest event and if the cards are worth going after and everything like that. And then throughout the week as well, I would love to do something I really want to dabble in. I talked to you about this a little bit is every morning on my streams, at least Monday through Friday, I'm going to stream in the morning around like 10 or 11 a.m., and Kesso was to tell you, around 10 or 11 a.m., I'm going to go live, and I'm going to recap all of the night of hockey, and maybe I'll throw those into like 20-minute episodes of Coffee and Chel where I just kind of go over the weekend that was, because, we have said this a number of times. There's too many kids in this community that have no idea what's going on in the real NHL, and we are going to do our damnedest to fix that. So
teach them, yeah.
Yep, we got to teach them. We got to keep them up to date.
I've talked to Sleazy about if we had different, like almost like a revolving door of different like hut guests come on just to like give their thoughts on this week's content. We are definitely going to have Burt Crown. Our man Burt Crown is definitely going to be on early on in the year, and Man Advantage as well. But anybody in the comments that's listening this far, and anybody that's in the chat right now, we have 92 people in here, but we've tried to get Kessel back.
We have.
It's not like we did anything. He's just kind of like
he's
don't like the game.
He's over the
and I don't want to play it, and I don't really. He tried the technical test, didn't like it, and he's like, I can't sit there and fake talking about something for an hour, and I don't enjoy it. And I don't. We've tried. It's not nothing happened, and Kessel, like I said, he loves us and everything, but we still talk to him, but it's just and he has a kid now, obviously.
He took up golf.
Oh yeah,
and he's playing a lot of golf this summer, so he is definitely.
But,
he's just in his dad's
tried to get him back. It's like, so if he ever comes back, then like that'd be great. But it's like, we we're gonna keep doing
We're
it no
still
matter
losers
what.
that
But
are going to be playing NHL in our 40s.
yeah, and like I mean, I think Kessel will play the game. It's just I think he's just kind of do it like in his own low key way. So,
I
but
think
yeah,
we
like
should definitely. I think we should definitely bring on Terry O as well. We'll talk about World
I
of
love
Chel.
Terry. Yeah,
We should
Terry.
definitely do that.
We had some people. You have some diehard viewers that definitely deserve to get like some recognition.
I think that we definitely wanted one more person when we talk about Hut specifically, just because Padre has a very narrow mind because he's so competitive, and I'm almost the opposite. So I think having
It's
someone
just cool to have different people come on too. Like I don't know. I think I like listening to different people talk, and like even just I don't know. Like I find Terry's like background into gaming like interesting, and like different people that that are
smokes
big in
so
the
much
community.
pot. My goodness.
Well, you used to work with them, so it's
I
like
did
cool.
used to work with him.
It's like that when you told me that, I was like, that is so funny. Like, and then the fact that you guys play like the same gamer in the same community, you're both
It is
partnered.
pretty
Like,
wild. It is pretty wild.
it's
but...
a small world, right? I mean, that's crazy.
All right, so next week we've got a pretty big episode coming up that'll be revolving around the gaming world. Or I keep calling it that. My goodness, the NHL World Championship. We're gonna do an interview with Jose. Try and hype things up for that as well. But we also want to do a preview episode. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go back and listen to all of our preview episodes from the prior year and see how wrong we were. Although we were right on some. We will we'll do another one and try and get everyone's piss as many people off as we can. I'll say that.
Yeah. Last year, everyone thought we were idiots for saying Vegas would win the division.
Yeah, we did. That Vegas was a good call. We both had Boston not making the playoffs, though. I think.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of people that had that though.
Yeah, but it was a shocker, but yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it'll be a fun year. Like regardless, we'll be doing this, and like hopefully there's some sort of events that come out with the game where there's real life reasonings for us to be able to meet up. Maybe we could do one live or something.
That'd be sick. I'd love to do a live one as well.
It's been tough the last I would say like 4 years, honestly, because of COVID and everything. And but Nashville was cool. So
no, absolutely. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for episode 75 of Coffee and Chel. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.